Hey YouTube land, it's Tychondrous here doing another action figure review. Now, I have been a little behind on the Rampage figures as I've been picking them up. So this is the Big City Brawl version of Ralph. This is the box it comes in, very similar to Lizzie's box. In fact, it's almost identical, with the only difference being the name Subject Ralph up in the corner of the box. Which if I just move my, you can see it says Subject Ralph. The rest of the box is identical, except for the inner card, because the inner card is designed for Ralph more than Lizzie. But if you flip around to the back of the box, it just shows Ralph doing various stuff on the back. So you have Chomp the Bus, Jaw Chomping Action, Poseable Legs, Ready to Destroy, and then you have the same write-up as before with the other. Let me see if we can bring it into focus. Bear with me a moment. We just move my camera. So you have the same write-up as before with the previous Rampage movies figures. And this is done by the Lanard toy company, who are more known for their Core and Core Elite line. And as you'll see in the course of this review, they threw some of their Core Elite stuff in with the figure to give it a bit more oomph for your buck. So, onto the figure itself. So, before I get on to Ralph himself, or herself, here is the figure that you get with him, or her, depending on which way you want to go with it. If I remember correctly, I think Lizzie was a her, Ralph was a guy, and so was George. Well, I could be wrong. So you get this basic, not even 5 points of articulation figure. He only has 3 points. As one of the fellow YouTube reviewers who review core figures call these guys the Craptastic, part of the Craptastic 4. And basically, all you have is arm movement. He does have 2 pistols that are removable. Arm just swings around and it's hindered by this shoulder piece on this side. Head can do a 360. The head sculpt is actually quite nice on this figure. I mean, granted, the figure is very limited, but the overall sculpt of the figure is fantastic. It is just a damn shame that it's just so static posed and does have a tendency of falling over. He does come with these identical 2 pistols. Let's see if I can get a zoom on one. So they're both identical and have like a little flashlight thing underneath. They look like kind of generic sort of pistols. They could have a specific type of pistol, I'm not too sure. I'm not too au fait with military issue hardware. But they just look like 9mm pistols. They could be even bigger. And again, just like with all the other guns that they've been issuing with the Rampage figures, for some unknown reason, they have orange tips on them. More than likely, it's something to do with a safety issue for non-firing tiny plastic pistols. I know there was issues before, like with Transformers, G1 Megatron kind of reissues, and the Masterpiece version of Megatron, that they had to have an orange tip on the barrel of the gun because they thought it was too realistic for a robot that turned into a gun. But whatever. So aside from the figure, you do get a bit of destructible scenery, which is why you see that Chomp the Bus thing. So you get this destroyed bus, basically ruined bus with the set. If I flip it around, you can see there is detail on the inside, like a control panel where the steering wheel and foot pedals. There's the rest of the seat on this side. And for the action gimmick, you'll see now in a minute where when I pull the head up, he basically chomps on the bus and takes out a chunk on the bus and drops it. So, pushing those all aside, onto Ralph himself. Now, Ralph isn't as big as Lizzie, but he is close to similar kind of. He's supposed to be in the same scale. He is a really cool wolf creature. Now, the only thing, they do say the legs are poseable. They are kind of limited on how you get him to stand. As you can see, he's standing there, but if you start messing around with the posability of the legs, if you put these straight down, his back legs come a little, like his third leg there is off the ground, it's not even reaching the ground. It is a shame that they didn't put the hinges on the back legs as well as on the front. It would have been way cooler if they had hinges on where the knee is here, and the kind of secondary ankle would have been really, really cool. And what also would have been cool is if they had taken a leaf from the Mattel Jurassic World line and giving the dinosaur, or the figures, that kind of splaying ball socket joint. So, for example, on the Allosaurus, this kind of in and out joint that you have for the dinosaurs from Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, it would have been cool if they did that with the Mattel, or with the Lanard line as well. But overall, it is a really cool line. I do like the sculpt of him. He's really cool, and as I said, he does have an action feature where you pull up on the head and his jaw opens and closes. I kind of wish as well that instead of pulling up in the head, that the head was in that and you push down to do the jaw crunching action, so that when the head was up like this, the mouth was open and you press down for it to close, because it doesn't get a big range of opening. And when I first got mine, it would only open about that much. I had to kind of force it a bit, so it kind of gave a better, more open snarl. As you can see there, it is a bit more wider now, but as I said, he is pretty cool. He does have the poseable claws, or the poseable hands, or paws. He can go down quite far with his posability. As I said, his head doesn't actually have a kind of a set for joint on it. It just does that action feature. Legs can go back that much, forward that much. Hind legs can go back that much, forward that much. And the tail is articulated, so it can go in and out. I do like the spines kind of running down the back. The creature is pretty sweet. He does have kind of scales kind of embedded onto his fur as well. So he's not just all just a furry wolf. He's like kind of a mixture of different animals. So you have like fur, spines, scales. It's kind of like a mishmash of different kind of animals, not just a wolf. But overall, he's really, really cool. So I do recommend picking these up. So just for comparison, with a standard Hasbro G.I. Joe figure, you can see the wolf towers quite over these guys. With one of the kind of standard, more articulated core elite figures, this is El Jefe. You can see that the wolf is quite tall compared to him. And if I have a Star Wars figure handy, which I don't seem to at the moment, so I'll just have to use this Quintero Marine from the Hiya Toys Alien Colonial Marines. So there you have a scale comparison of him, of Ralph, with a whole bunch of other creatures, or not creature, or other humans. So overall, he's a really cool creature. I do recommend picking them up. They are, I think in the States, they're Walmart exclusive. I'm not too sure. I know they're only available here in Smith's at the moment. And they have the whole line here, so that's one thing that I can say which is better than the Jurassic World line at the moment. Unfortunately, we don't have any of the human characters, and I'll kind of get into that in another video. So there you go, guys. Oh, and just for another scale comparison, actually before I go, I'll move these out of the way and bring in his his other Big City Brawl counterpart, assuming I can get her to fit in. There he is. Let me just angle this up a touch. There is Ralph and Lizzie together. Now, I don't have the Big City Brawl version of George yet. I will probably pick that up and give it a review as well. As I said in the Lizzie review, it is a shame that they kind of went AWOL with the scales, because these are the largest of the two creatures, even though there's a Mega George who is bigger again than these guys and is probably in more in scale to the movie representation. And if they had scaled up these guys to be the same size as Mega, if they had done like a Mega Lizzie and a Mega Ralph, they would have been really cool and pretty much on scale for the from the movie counterparts. So overall, sculpting is great, and the creature design just looks fantastic for all the creatures. George is your basic giant King Kong style ape, so you can't really muck that up, and Lizzie just looks really cool, and Ralph looks really cool as well. So there you go, guys, quick video review for the Ralph Big City Brawl set from Lanard Toys. Do recommend picking them up if you can get them. As I said, I think they're Walmart exclusives in the States. Not sure about other countries. I know we have them here in Smith's, and they're exclusive to Smith's as well. So if you want to get them, I'd say try and get them through your local retailer, or if not, you might have to get them on a secondary market like eBay or someplace like that. So there you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed my review, and as I said, as I say in my reviews, please feel free to like, comment and subscribe to my channel, and I'll try and reply to